Hey, how's everyone doing? Alright, so today we're going to get into protein intake. What do you need to know about protein, what matters and what doesn't matter? Okay, so the basic recommendations for protein is 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. So that's your metric and imperial calculations. That's the bare minimum that you want, okay? So my theory is you can never have enough protein, like in moderation. So even though that's kind of contradicting itself, still you want to understand more protein is probably better than more carbohydrates at like primarily when you look at a diet based from a macronutrient point of view. Okay, so protein, my recommendations, I'd shoot for the higher side. I'd say 2 grams to a kilogram body weight. All right, so generally for say 100 kilo male, you're shooting around 200 plus grams of protein. So when you say that and you look at actual a protein, like a protein scoop might only contain anywhere from 20 to 40 grams, and muscle protein synthesis caps out at about 35 grams, give or take, your body weight and your metabolism and a couple other little things. But that being said, even if you consume over 35 grams per actual meal, it's not wasted. Like, your body's going to utilize that in other ways. If you're consuming like 150 grams in one intake, like obviously your body's probably not going to use that all, and it'll probably just go straight through the digestive tract and not get used. The quick available amino acids are going to get used first. So when you look at protein, it gets broken down into amino acids, branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, and essential amino acids. And then you're looking at like valine, glutamine, and like heaps of other ones. You don't really need to get wrapped up in all that kind of stuff. That's only supplementation when you're really on the cutting edge of like bodybuilding, all that kind of stuff. Just for you basic average Joes like myself, try hit your daily protein intake. Set that bad boy first. Then after that, fats, then carbs come last. So you want at least 20 to 40% of your diet primarily being protein. Generally when you're on the high side of protein, you may get smelly farts, upset stomach, okay? That's kind of when you may be consuming too much protein. And then your different sources of protein, so you want it to come from dairy, you might want it to come from protein shakes. Not all the time, some people can't consume protein that comes from dairy, all right? So it just doesn't work well in their belly, might be lactose intolerant or whatever reason. So they can get it from meats, veggies, beans, legumes, like whatever. As long as you're getting it from meats, veggies, and fruit, like you're good to go. Like a wide variety of sources you want it to come from. And then just track that in MyFitnessPal. Obviously you got an error rate between 10 to 30% based on your body type, how you metabolize protein, and then the way it's cooked, and the timing that you actually consume it. So if you consume protein post-workout, you're probably going to absorb a little bit more. Not a lot more, but just a little bit more compared to whether it was first thing in the morning or if you just had a massive bowl of chips and then you just ate your protein, all right? And protein digestion, if it's not a BCAA, like a small supplement, BCAAs take roughly half an hour to an hour to actually metabolize. If you're looking at like a bit of steak, you might be looking anywhere from like 6 to 18 hours for actual breakdown of the stomach, and then for that to become usable energy. And so that's why we always look at macronutrient intake, like calories, based on a daily perspective, because you don't get fat from eating one meal. You don't get healthy from eating one meal. It's a consistency of eating healthy over a day and over weeks. That's like, you don't get healthy just by eating an apple and then eating a chocolate bar, okay? Like, even though there's no such thing as a bad diet, a good diet. There's just ones that have better micronutrients and are better food choices than the other, all right? So each food, like whether it be like candy or whatever, can be specifically used for a certain reason or whatever it is. But just for this video, on the sake of protein, make sure you're hitting your protein intake. I cannot say that enough, especially if you're looking to build a lean physique and you're looking to actually gain muscle and improve yourself. You want to build muscle, you got to make sure you're getting adequate protein in, because like when you look at actual fitness, it's honestly like 80-20, 20% fitness, 80% nutrition. You're not eating right. If you're eating too little or too much, you're not going to get to your goals. You need to have a specific goal and base your nutrient intake around that. You don't have to be strict as, you can definitely follow portion control. Just for the average guy looking to get lean, portion control, you don't even have to track your macros. I personally would suggest if it fits your macros, because that gives you flexibility. You can fit in the food you like, but primarily 70-80% of the diet is made up of good nutritious foods like green vegetables, like nice leafy greens, lean meats, enjoyable foods, and smoothies and all that good stuff, right? And you can still enjoy the small bits of food you might like, whether that be like chocolate or whatever. You just fit that into your intake. All right, guys, do you have any questions in regards to protein intake, anything like that? There's a lot of different statistics out there, but any more than 2 grams is recommended. Like, obviously, when you consume protein, it gets broken down through the thermogenic effect of the body, like metabolizing it. You can burn off roughly 20% of the actual intake of protein. Say it was 1,000 calories, the actual intake of protein itself, your body might only take up like 800 to 900 calories of that. So that's why when you're on a high protein diet, you're more likely to lose a little bit more weight as opposed to a high carb diet, just based off a thermogenic effect. Like 200 calories a day can make a lot of difference if you're only in a deficit of 500 calories a day. So just be aware of that. Protein has a high burn off rate than other foods, and it's nice and dense and yummy. Protein, fucking steak. I love steak, but not everyone loves steak. Not vegetarian. You don't need to follow any fancy diet. You don't need to go ketogenic, paleo, fucking, you don't need to do any of that. Just track your proteins, eat your veggies, have some fruit, have a chocolate bar if you want one. Not every day. You don't have to eat chocolate every day. Like, have it when you want it, but structure it in a way where you can fit it in. Also, just to add on actual protein intake, how much should you take in each day? So generally shoot for the higher side, so 35 grams maybe each meal. So you might want to have 50 grams of protein maybe with each meal, and base that out over a few meals. The scientific recommendations is 2 to 4 meals for optimal protein intake, because there is a stage where you can have too much protein and your body's not going to use it and you become oversaturated. So 6 meals isn't fucking going to give you the best protein, the optimal protein intake. 2 to 4 meals, all right? So shoot for the higher side of that, 3 to 4. So if you break that down to brekkie, lunch and dinner, you're having a little bit of protein in each one of those, and then maybe a protein shake. Would that come from like a paleo shake, like the ones that are pea based and soy based, all that kind of stuff, or whether that comes from dairy, whatever. As long as you're getting protein in and you're having it throughout 2 to 4 meals, you're good to go. That is the best recommendations on the market to date from like the leading scientific research in regards to bodybuilding. None of this like fucking Instagram Fitspo shit. They are the hardcore recommendations from Eric Helms and like Lyle McDonald, like the guys that are really breaking up the industry and the bullshit in regards to like health and fitness, carrying out studies on actual trained subjects, not people that are sick and looking to get healthier. So actual bodybuilders that have been like resistance training for over a few years, all right? So 2 to 4 meals, that is the metadata analysis. Like anything in the fitness industry, like any study, okay? It's just a recommendation. It mightn't be perfect for you. You might find you work better off like 5 meals, like whatever, but just bear that in mind. 2 to 4 meals and shoot for 2 grams per kilogram body weight. All right.